Hill family. Aaron here. I hope everyone is doing well, is staying healthy, happy, safe, and sane during this quarantine period. By now, most of us have sort of acclimatized to this way of living, but it still remains, I think, a very testing time for most people and for various reasons. That's why when I was asked to do the devotional, it was just something that was laid on my heart a few weeks ago. The message is titled Jesus, Our Daily Bread. And I just hope that it be an encouragement to you, wherever you are, in whatever situation you're going through, whatever challenge you're facing, because it was a blessing for me. So yeah, I'm not sure about you guys, but this quarantine period has really cleared out my schedule. Like, I have much more free time now than I had before quarantine. Just no more extra, curricular activities, a lot less to do, right? And what that has led to for me personally is just that I've created a routine where, I have my hour where I read my Bible and I pray. And it has sort of become just that, a routine where I just repeat the same things essentially every day. And what that has led to in turn is just sort of a negative striving on my part of just trying to fill my time with more Jesus, essentially. Watching another sermon or reading another book or whatever it may be, praying longer. Yeah, which isn't good. It shouldn't be like that. So a few weeks ago, my older brother and myself, we started a Bible study on the book of Exodus. Now it's great. It's got all the cool stories in it. You have Israel, a nation that have been in slavery for about 400 years, and God was nowhere to be found according to them. And then God sends Moses, a prophet, and through 12 plagues, he gets them out. He softens Pharaoh's heart enough to send them away, but he immediately changes his mind and he chases the Israelites down. And now they're trapped between the Red Sea and the army. And in one fell swoop, God not only delivers them unscathed, but cripples the nation of Egypt to make sure that they stay completely free of slavery. And then we see the story take a very different turn, where suddenly we go into what seems like first gear as they enter a literal desert. And we know they spend the next 40 years there. But what's the first thing they do when they get there is they start grumbling. And I just see myself in them. I do see myself in them when Uncle Cyril comes on State of the Nation and he starts with fellow South Africans. Unfortunately, that's why I stop listening and I start grumbling. And it is something we need to work on. But yeah, so I think the second thing they grumble about in the desert is food, which is understandable. They say, we don't have food, why'd you bring us out here to die? And God again comes through in a very spectacular manner. And he sends manna, right? Which is Hebrew for, what is it? Or what is this? Because they've never seen it before. But for the next 40 years, every day, consistently, he gives them providence. Now, with this providence comes very strict rules on how to collect it and when to collect it and when not to collect it and how much. So each one is just supposed to collect an omer, which is an Old Testament unit of measurement. But what stood out to me is Exodus 16:17, where it says that some gathered much, some gathered little. When they measured it by the omer, he who gathered much did not have too much, and he who gathered little did not have too little. Each one gathered as much as he needed. And this was such a beautiful promise in this verse. And when we tie this together with the New Testament in John 6:35, where we have Jesus and he claims, I am the bread of life. He who comes to me will never go hungry. He who believes in me will never be thirsty. And again, such a beautiful promise. Now, when we put these two ideas together, that back in the day, the Israelites were given this daily bread, exactly how much they needed. And now we know that Jesus is this bread of life. It was such a peace that came over me when this was put on my heart, that irrespective of the situation we are in, irrespective of the situations we're facing, the troubles, the trials, Jesus is exactly enough Jesus is exactly enough spiritually, physically, financially. So yeah, that's just the message I'd like to share, that in this time, we don't know. Hopefully it's not 40 years like the Egyptians in this desert period. We can take heart to know that God is enough and that every day is provided for, and that all we need to do is just trust in Him.